Hi everyone, and welcome back to the TackleShare YouTube channel. If you haven't already done so, make sure to subscribe to our channel to keep more fishing content coming your way. Today's video is going to be a how-to fillet a rock bass. We were out fishing this afternoon and our kids thought, you know what, we haven't tried rock bass yet, so we're going to bring some home and fillet them up, and then I'm going to do a follow-up video where you can see us frying them. So anyways, let's get to our how-to clean a rock bass. Alright, so when starting, I generally like to use a nice cutting board surface so I can protect whatever I'm cutting on. I usually will take a fillet knife, a paper towel, a bowl of water, and a container that I'm going to put the fish in a little bit later. So that's the container I'm going to put the fish in, or the fillets in after I'm done. But those are just a few of the things that I like to use. I like to do it outside too because sometimes the fish scales get flying a little bit and I don't like those inside my house. So. Alright, so we're going to push back that pectoral fin and cut straight up on an angle like this, making sure not to cut through the spine. Once you feel yourself touch the spine, that's far enough to flip it over and do the same on the other side, pushing back that pectoral fin, cutting on an angle towards the head there. And they do tend to be tough, so you do need to have a bit of a firm hand, but you don't want to cut through that spine. Now you're going to cut along the dorsal fin. All the way down to the rib cage, and you'll feel that. And then once you pass the rib cage, you're going to poke through towards the anal fin and push down along the spine towards the end of the tail of the fish. Like that. And then you're going to run your knife along the rib cage to peel the rest of the meat away from the rib cage. There's a bit of meat stuck there. And just peeling along the rib cage, that way you don't cut into the rib bones at all, and then your fillet will not have bones. Like that. Perfect, and set that aside for now, and we'll work on the other side and do the exact same thing. So run your knife along the dorsal fin without cutting through the fin, and you're down deep enough to get to the ribs, but not quite. And then once you're past the ribs about here, you're going to push all the way through towards the anal fin, and along the spine, push as close as you can to make sure most of the meat stays on the skin. And then once again, you're going to just run your knife along the rib cage to make sure you get as much of the meat attached to that fillet as possible. If you're going to catch a fish and fillet, you might as well get as much meat as possible. Just like this. And at the end, you're going to separate it from the body just by cutting it there at the belly. Alright, now it's time to take the skin off of the fillet. So you're going to hold on to it very gently and run your knife along in a sawing motion, but pushing some downward pressure, but not too much so that you don't cut through the skin of the fish. And that is how you fillet a rock bass. They have quite a bit of meat on them. You'd be surprised how much meat they have on them. You wouldn't think that. So this way, if it's still attached to the fish, you have the fish to hold on to, and you can kind of get down and get close to the skin, because you're going to try and really move your knife back and forth with pressure downwards to get close to the skin without actually cutting into the skin. And that way you have this nice skin here, there's no meat wasted, and then there's your fillet. I did have a little piece there of the pectoral fin, and there we go. It's completely rib free. The ribs are still here inside the fish, and I have a nice clean fillet of meat. And I always like to give it a little wash just to get any scales or debris, and it also helps you your fingers to notice if you did have a bone, and I just noticed a bone right there that you can easily pull out, or if you're afraid of having them, you can even just identify where it was, give it a little cookie cutter remove right there, remove that little excess. And it's also really sometimes a good idea to remove this little bit of silver skin right here. I would remove that. And there's a worm that sometimes you'll see in rock bass, and you can just quite literally pull that out. But they die when you've cooked them, so you don't need to worry about that. But I like to pull them out for my own personal preference and get rid of some of that silver skin from the belly liner. And there we go. It's a nice clean rock bass fillet. All right, one more important thing to keep in mind when you are filleting your fish. If you're going to eat them right away, this is exactly how you should do it. You're going to take the skin off and keep them nice and clean and prepare them. However, if you're not ready to eat them that day and you're going to be storing them in your fridge or your freezer, you want to make sure that you leave the skin on. And that is how you can identify what species of fish it is. And if you ever have questions from a conservation officer, if you're out and about, they need to be able to identify what species of fish it is, as well as be able to count your possession limits. I'll put all that information in the description below. But it's very important to know that if you're going to be storing them for any length of time and not cooking them immediately, you need to leave the skin on. And that would be for every piece of fish that you have. So this is, I've taken the skin off because I'm going to do a follow-up video about cooking them later on. So that's one thing you want to keep in mind. You want to make sure you know all your fishing regulation information, but this is a very important information about storing your fish. All right, that's it for our how to clean a rock bass video. Now, the techniques we used in there were not specifically just for rock bass. You could also use those for any of the panfish as well, or any other fish that has that body shape. We cleaned about 7 pretty decent sized rock bass, and that fed a family of 5. Now 2 adults and 3 young children, but it was also enough to have a little bit of an extra bedtime snack as well. Make sure you follow up and see the follow-up video where I show you how we cook those fish to keep it a very simple method, very quick and easy if you don't have a lot of time on your hands. So make sure to check out our follow-up video on how to cook or pan fry some rock bass. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to our channel to keep more fishing content coming your way.